Senator Gary Hart.
Thank you.
And even at dinner, the Prince was still talking about the impact his wife was having on Washington.
To do business with the Soviets. When we were in the National Gallery this morning, a gentleman of the press asked me, I thought rather tactlessly really, why there was a bigger crowd outside the cathedral today than there was the last time I came here on my own. Well, the answer, of course, is that they all turned up to see my new clothes. And all the shoes and the shirts and the ties and things that my wife is credited with having equipped me over the last 4 years. From that point of view, my former self was a mere shadow of what you see now.
The Suburban Mile is the symbol of America's love affair with shopping. This one in Virginia, 6,000 turned out to see the Prince and Princess tour a store and view a display of British goods. Pennies had bought $50 million worth for their 1,300 stores and were glad of the publicity as the security men walked the royal rolls towards the door. When they saw her, the crowds went wild. There was executives stepping forward to greet her. The distant cheering rewarded with another wave. First customer wouldn't be buying anything, but the staff were still beside themselves with excitement. The Princess spent a lot of time at the jewellery counters and talked a lot about fashion. When she expressed a preference for double-breasted suits for women, the store directors frantically took notes. As one said later, if she likes it, people will buy it.
I'm tight on her. Want to go wide?
Outside, the couple insisted on meeting at least some of the people who'd stood for hours waiting to see her. They pressed on, surrounded by worried security men. When the Prince tried to go back, a bodyguard said firmly, "No way, sir." But some were luckier than others. By royal command, a giant security man took a rose proffered by a weeping woman in the crowd. He marched over and handed it to another security man inside the royal car. And was the lady overwhelmed? She certainly was.
She fulfilled our dream. She grew up, married the prince. So that's what every little American girl thinks about.
The car drifted away even more slowly to give everyone time to look.
ECP, LSD, THC, mushrooms, hash oil, trash drugs, and some others that I can't remember right now. I've been doing drugs for 4 years, and I've been straight for 31 days. I'd like to talk about a time when I was with my druggy boyfriend. We were shooting up cocaine, and I felt really, really scared.
Not the usual royal venue, as a teenager talks about her drug problem at the Straight Rehabilitation Center. Parents taking part as well.
And at that moment, I knew that he was going to die if I didn't help him, because he couldn't help himself. And I really, really want to beat this thing. And I love all of you.
Her son eventually came forward to hug her, the first step on the road to recovery.
I'm hurt. I'm scared. I've got more love now than I've ever had for you, Mom, and Tam. I'm not giving up, and I'll hang in there. I love you, Michelle.
But if you just hang in there with them, I know they'll make it. I know they will. And I know that we'll beat this. We have to.
Your Highness, I don't know how much jogging you or your husband may do, but I would like to give you 2 straight T-shirts. We had them at our marathon just recently, which was a fundraiser for the program, and I'd like to present them to you as a gift also. Ms. Reagan, we have 2 for you and your husband also.
Once criticized for her lack of community involvement, Mrs. Reagan is now winning much praise for her anti-drug campaigning. She has successfully involved other First Ladies and personalities This, her latest ally, receiving a fond farewell at the end of the visit. Monday afternoon at Arlington National Cemetery, Remembrance Day for the United States. Buried here are presidents and politicians, heroes of war and terrorist attack, and hundreds of ordinary soldiers. Prince Charles, in naval uniform, came to honor the dead of both countries by placing a wreath at the memorial. At his speech in the White House, the Prince had taken war and peace as a theme.
Our shared heritage in the struggle for democracy and freedom makes us only too aware that no true peace in this world can ever be obtained, I believe, while dictatorships of one kind or another exist.
Here again, large crowds had turned out to surround the cemetery to watch the Prince and Princess go by. The Princess escorted by the British Ambassador, Sir Oliver Wright, the couple pausing a moment to look back at the tomb. A 1,000 miles from Washington, the sun rising over another perfect Florida day, bringing out the boats and warming the swimming pools. The Prince and Princess came south for a friendly polo match and a charity dinner. At Palm Beach Airport, the temperature was in the 80s, so it was a tropical look for the royals. As ever, a little flower girl was ready to put her weeks of training into practice. All went perfectly, but the little girl was so overwhelmed that she remained rooted to the spot long after they'd gone. For the walkabout among invited guests, the strictest of security. On the roof, a man with a radio and a machine gun stood guard. At the Palm Beach Polo Club, the Prince played for the home team. Last time he played here, he'd been affected by the heat, but today the breeze was cool, the play fast and furious. Overhead, a security nightmare, a small aircraft buzzing the ground carrying an IRA banner. Then later, a personal message. No, she didn't call. The Prince, busy below, had time to notice neither message. At half-time, they called out the crowd to stamp down the divots. Instead, 5,000 people stepped over each other in the rush to view the Princess. The security man just gave up. Their screams brought a distant wave. Minnie Mouse waving back. The Prince's team won by a single goal. He got a China horse and a kiss from his wife. The Princess squeezing in between the players for a team photograph. A perfect end to this last public engagement of the tour. A posse of Miami policemen leading the party to a charity dinner in aid of United World Colleges, one of his favorite causes. The Princess stunning in a shimmering dress of red. As people yelled complimentary remarks from across the drive, the Prince managed to look graciously pleased. And there was Zsa Zsa Gabor, remarkable at 66. Joan Collins making her own regal entrance, complete with her brand new husband. Her reward, a photograph of one dynasty meeting another. Bob Hope provided the cabaret, Mrs. Hope in the audience. People had paid $5,000 a ticket to be here, $50,000 for a top table reception. Everyone and almost everything was on show.
Where is the British press? This is Mrs. I'm before your time, I think.
They were determined to outshine each other. And wasn't it nice with all those cameras there?
Is turning out in great order. We're all very, very happy you're all here. Thank you for coming.
Welcome.
I was previously a British actress in England and a singer, and the royal family possessed my latest album.
There were pearls and diamonds by the bucketful, heavyweight earrings dangling everywhere. And that monologue continued.
And we're very proud of the family coming here. It's wonderful. She's perfectly beautiful.
The princess spent much of her time at the dinner talking to oil billionaire Armand Hammer. He's a close friend of the prince, and he's personally funded a new college in America for the United World Colleges. It's in New Mexico and has 200 students from many parts of the world. The prince staunchly defended the 6 colleges from charges of elitism, and he praised their high academic standards in a rousing speech.
The selection of all these students is on merit and academic ability. And my God, you have to have ability in order actually to handle the very, very tough course. What I want to know is what actually is wrong with an elite, for God's sake. No one complains about elite troops. Or how on earth does anyone expect anything to get done in life unless there is some effort to educate people's characters as well as their minds?
The princess, happy that for once on this tour, it was her husband sitting in the spotlight. The Union Jack flew atop the Breakers Hotel. The British had conquered Palm Beach. Tours in the next morning at Palm Beach Airport. Few visitors to the USA have seen so much in just 4 days. So many thank yous to give, so many memories of the people they'd met, and the enthusiastic welcome from the peoples of Washington and Florida. This long tour, which had started in Australia, was almost over. British royalty, with Americans reluctant to let them leave.